There are times when it is slow, even as you operate your Sprinter/cargo van. What do you do? What are your options? We're going to talk about that on this segment of the Get Geezer. If this is your first time checking out the Get Geezer, if you're a returning visitor of the Get Geezer, hey, thanks for coming by. And if you would not mind, hit that subscribe button. Give my content a thumbs up. Share my content among others. And I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. It is a hot, humid, ugly Wednesday afternoon, August 9th, 2023. And I am actually in the midst of doing a regional load opportunity, or what I call a brokered opportunity, that's gone from that where I picked up from Charleston, South Carolina, and I'm delivering to the Greenville, South Carolina metropolitan area. I am to be paid $245 for a 495 mile trip. The initial offer on this was $195. I bid $300 on it, and then it went into what you call a counter offer mode. Fortunately, the broker sales rep whom I've been paired with now, she apprised me that someone had bid $250, and I said $245, and ultimately I got it at $245. Now, overall for the day, at least as I stand right now, I stand to make $408 for the entire day. And quite honestly, it's been a slow day. It's been a slow week. It's been a very slow developing week. And so my intent of doing this particular segment of the Get Geezer is really to share with you what I've been doing in this slower time, this slower week. By the way, for whatever it's worth, where I'm at as of Wednesday this week, I'm at $1,299 for the week, just a tick under $1,300. So based on those numbers, it sounds like I'm doing great, but it's how it's being done how it's being done is the reason why I'm saying that it's slow. And then again, with some interaction with other drivers in the Columbia, South Carolina metropolitan area, they're telling me the same thing. It's slow out there. The apps aren't jumping. And if the apps aren't jumping, what are you doing? And so that, again, this is what leads me into doing this particular segment. Now, I want to say this. I consider it a compliment if people have been inspired to go out and pursue the ownership and operation of a Sprinter/cargo van. I also consider it a privilege. I also consider it a compliment that people are saying that they've been inspired to consider other options in life, and namely perhaps getting away from a W-2 and going on their own, setting forth in their own business enterprise. And so if I've played that type of a part in a person's life, I'm okay with that, and thank you. And by the way, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Get Geezer and any other segment of the Get Geezer, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. But I'm talking about it's slow. What do you do? Well, I started out with a lot of my content upon starting ownership and operation of this van by doing gig apps. The reason why I started with doing gig apps, it was just a natural transition for me, given that I'd been doing gig food delivery work, primarily the DoorDash, the Grubhubs, the Youre Eats, and the Instacarts for the previous 3 years. And then you add the catering opportunities that I had at that juncture from the Deliver That and the Delivered apps. All I did was transition from operating out of my F-150 to my van. Now, for as many people that congratulated me and said words of encouragement for me to, for the decision that I made and the move that I made, there were those who said, "Man, you're wasting your time. Why the fuck are you doing that. You're better off just getting a W-2. And maybe I should have, but I just never been the type of person where when I've committed to something, very rarely have I advocated something that I pursued. But that said, yes, I started out slow. I mean, the first month I made $5,100. The second month I made, over $6,000, at least based on the 30-day cycles from the point of ownership to the next 30 days. But if you go according to the calendar months, as I've shared in previous segments of the Gig Geezer, so far in 2023, if I count my 1099 earnings from January to now, my worst month was the month of April or May. It was the month of April in which I made $6,500. All the other months have been at least $7,000, and from May, and since May, I've been averaging well over $8,000 a month. So I challenge somebody to find a W-2 that's going to pay them over 8 G's off the streets based on your specific skill set and your specific qualifications. Moving forward. Okay, so I started with the gig apps, but then I mentioned that I'd got my authority, and authority is a time thing. Authority, when you buy that MC number, and of course there were people who were telling me that you don't need an MC number to be doing this. And then in this particular segment, I went into great detail to show you that in many situations, you need an MC number to be operating your sprinter/cargo van. Yes, you can do it without an MC number. You can do it without buying the $1 million coverage at 100,000 cargo and then $1 million commercial general liability. You can do that, but you're operating under someone else's authority and under their insurance. And for some people, that is the way to go. But if you're going to do it yourself, you got to have that MC number, that authority. Now, again, it's a time thing. When you buy that MC number, you pay $300 for that for that general purpose. I call it general purpose authority, and then it takes about 3 weeks before it is actually issued or activated. And then after that, even though you may be a new authority person, it's not like there's very few places out there that actually want to deal with new authority, whether you got a sprinter van or a box truck or a semi, it doesn't matter. Many people don't like to deal with new authorities. And then if you talk about just the transportation world itself outside of the gig apps, a lot of places don't want to deal with the sprinter vans or even the box trucks. So that's a reality. And I shared in this segment of the Gig Geezer, I mentioned how many other places are going to want you to have your authority active 90 days, 180 days, some cases a year. Those are like the main numbers. The main numbers are 90, 180, 365, or 1 year. Now, the place that I happen to deal with as a broker, they welcomed newer authorities at 60 days. And as it turned out, it's been a pretty good situation for me, that is. Now, I'm saying all this to say, in times like this, you got to be able to diversify. It's just like on the gig app side. Very few markets, very few situations, you're going to be able to achieve the goals that you want financially on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis on just 1, 2, maybe even 3 apps. I've been consistent at saying, even from the gig food delivery side, that at least in my market, primarily the Columbia, South Carolina metropolitan area, you need to be on as many apps as you can get on. That said, I'm on upwards of 20 apps. And there are some other content creators who are probably active on even more than that, even more than 20 apps. So that goes to show you, you've got to diversify. Any business that's gonna survive the test of time has to have some type of diversification. You can't be a limited trick pony and expect to make it. Because when it's slow and you only got those 2 or 3 and they're not popping for you, what are you gonna do? You're gonna sit at home and complain? Or are you gonna whimper and grumble? Or are you gonna do something else about it? So here's where, for me, how my authority has helped me out of late. In fact, I want to throw another thing out there. As I mentioned, at least in this segment of the Gig Geezer, I mentioned about a cash game. Now, the cash game is going to be unique to you. Cash game is pretty much what it is. It's things that are going to earn you cash, cold cash. That is, opportunities that are going to earn you cold cash. When the apps aren't working, and if maybe in your case you're not able to book loads, do you have a cash game? All that is to say, and I've said this as well, there is more than one way to earn money operating out of your Sprinter/cargo van. And for that matter, if you're operating out of a pickup truck, as I did, or out of an SUV, as I did at another time, or even as a car, as I did at another time. There's more than one way. You just have to find it. Now, just to throw some numbers out there for whatever it's worth. In this segment of the Gig Geezer, there was a certain point where I mentioned that I gave a breakdown whereby the gig food delivery apps had accounted for 5.5% of my money. The last mile apps like the freights and the dispatches and the point pickups, they accounted for 53% of my money. And then the over-the-road or broker opportunities, the regional opportunities, accounted for 41% of my money. That was last week. The actual final numbers were more like about, the final numbers were more like these right here. Now, this week, I'm saying that it's kind of slow. Oh yeah, it's been slow. Monday, I earned $210. One of my worst days in quite a while. Yesterday, I had a nice rebound of a day. I earned $679. It was over $675 that I earned yesterday. And then today, I'm going to earn about $408. Again, putting me just a tick under $1,300 at about $1,299. But if I were to give you a breakdown of those numbers so far this week, the gig food delivery apps have accounted for $51.10. Not a lot. I mean, you're talking about $1,300 and $51. That's about 2%. Just about 2%. A little under 2.5%. More like about 2.4%. The last mile gig apps, as I mentioned, like the point pickups and the freights and the roadies, they've accounted so far at $337.69. So that's about roughly 25%, maybe. Somewhere's about 25% of the money that I've earned this week. And what's carrying the day has been the expediting stuff, the regional type work. And what I mean by regional work is that I consider regional stuff. I previously said where it is stuff that's done within 5 hours. What it really means to me, regional stuff is load opportunities or opportunities that allow you to be back home that night, the same day. Now, when it's over the road, to me, that's when you're spending a night out on the road and you're driving a serious distance. Like my very first one that I mentioned in this segment of the Gig Geezer, where I went from Charlotte to San Antonio. And I don't need to explain any more about that because I've explained that at length. But these regional opportunities, and typically regional opportunities are going to be within a certain radius of operation that allows you to be back home that same day, that same night. So these opportunities have accounted for $909.07. So far this week, it's roughly at least 2/3, almost somewhere between 2/3 and 75% of. It's a little over 2/3 of the money that I've earned so far this week. Today, in particular, expediting is accounted for $338.04, and last mile gig work is accounted for $70.60. So if there's a breakdown of those numbers, it's a little less than 20% for last mile, and then the rest, over 80%, is expediting type work. So you do what you have to do a lot of times. That's really the bottom line. If you wanna continue to make the money when it's slow, you do what you have to do sometimes. And for me, it doesn't mean always taking it at a lower rate. It means finding other avenues to make your money. Okay? Finding other avenues to make your money. So, one other thing I want to do is, in this particular segment of the Gig Geezer, I also want to share about dedicated lane opportunities. Now, I've been on record as saying I have or contracts, dedicated lane opportunities. I've got nothing against either contracts or dedicated lane opportunities. I understand how they can help you. They can be a big asset in certain times, like this when it's slow. In fact, I have a couple of dedicated lane opportunities. In fact, I'm going to segue to this particular cutout from yesterday, August 8, 2023, in which I kind of explained, at least upon my getting news that I'd been awarded a dedicated lane. My first dedicated lane. I know that I've talked about dedicated lanes and contracts and all, but basically I got a contract situation in that if this lane comes up, in fact, it's one that I've talked about recently, which is from Dillon to Charlotte, North Carolina, 130-mile route. It came up yesterday, and I missed it in its entirety. But it came up yesterday. But if I get it, if that route were to come up again, I would get first shot at refusing it. But if it comes up, I know that I'm going to get paid $250 for that run. Now the market has been going for $225, although I did see it for as low as $200, and the last time I completed it, I got the rate back up to $225. So I'm getting slightly more. You can say about 10% more because of it being a dedicated opportunity. Now there are some stipulations that I have to register 85% on the tracking, and then also I have to accept 95% of the offers that come my way. But I have agreed to do, if it comes up 3 times in a week. So there's a potential of me making $750 in a week if that load opportunity becomes available. Now, here's a catch with that dedicated lane opportunity. This morning, I saw that lane come open. It was available today on with the brokers that I dealt with, $225. And when I saw that, I'm like, wait a minute. I got the email saying that I've been awarded the lane, but why am I having to bid for it? In fact, I tried to get in contact with my broker, my sales rep. And in the process, we're going to try to get it to $250 like it should be, at least under my agreement. Someone booked it right from up under me. Now, I wasn't bent out of shape about that, but upon further review, the reason why I had not been given first preference is because I had not been sent that confirmation email saying that, okay, you're in the system now and you're going to have first right of refusal with this particular lane. So until I get that email, I've got to bid for it like the next person. So there's a little catch in those things. But I got another one that's supposed to start next week, and the way it's been explained to me, it starts in Columbia. I go up to Florence to make a delivery, and then I come down to St. Matthews. St. Matthews is like between Florence and Orangeburg, and that particular lane is like 136 miles. In fact, it's very similar to the Dillon to Charlotte in terms of miles, but this one is going to pay $200. Initially, I was offered $176.50, and I told her no, this one should be $200. And so she said there was some wiggle room in that, and they would go with the $200. So it is conceivable that one day soon I could have 2 lane opportunities in the same day, paying me a total of $425, and that's a win. That's a win-win. So that's a good situation. Now how I got those opportunities, the second one I can't say anything yet because I've got the routes and all that, but I'm not going to say any more about it until I actually do it. I'm just sharing this early information. But the Dillon to Charlotte, I ran that 3 times last week. It's just a matter of me getting that email, and it could be as early as tomorrow, at least what I'm told. So that would be by the time that come out, Thursday, August 10, 2023, or it could be as late as Friday, August 11, 2023. So I'm sharing some kind of overall information though, but hopefully you get something out of it. Hopefully you get from this that you still got to diversify, you still got to create options for yourself, and you got to stay on top of things. That's what it really is all about. And with that, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gig Geezer or in any other segment of the Gig Geezer, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. I'm Inwood Lane, and as always, may your grind and may your hustle continue.